Hi, welcome to Manas Shield YouTube channel. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start the video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'll link it in the description box, or you can click here. Tensura Volume 20. Chapter 1. The First Battle. Obera vs Tissorn. As Midley guessed, Obera was also in danger. It's not right. The pressure from the enemy has not changed since the beginning of the war. Obera treated Tissorn as a child against the vicious Tissorn that cuts off everything by vibrating the alien exoskeletons of both arms. The reason why she did not put the finishing touches on Tissorn was because she had the same concern as Midley. Many lives are lost on the battlefield. The damage to her allies was minimized by the use of restorative medicine, and they were quickly replaced by their replacements, so that no one died. However, the Insector army is repeating the onslaught without regard to the loss of life, and has already been reduced to less than half of its initial strength. Yet, the enemy force, which Obera sensed with his super intuition, was still alive and well. The moment when Frey defeated Tissorn was the moment when this feeling of discomfort became a certainty. Although one of the enemy generals had been defeated, nothing had changed. This means that even the death of Insect General has no effect on the army of Insector, or maybe worse than that. In fact, it is even possible that the death of Insect General itself is one of the enemy's tricks. No way, right? No, that's not true. They cannot say for sure that this is not the case. Once, his colleague Zalario complained about it. They are really persistent. He said, you have to choose the right place, because it's a nuisance to beat them. At that time, she thought it was a rare occurrence for the taciturn Zalario, and she only felt that he seemed to be tired, but now she realized that the meaning of his comment was very important. She had already decided that it was not her job to deal with Insector, so she had no intention to consult with him from the beginning, and did not listen to what he had to say. It was not only Obera's problem, but also the vice of Phantom as a whole, led by Feldway, but Obera regretted that they should have informed each other at least of major problems. However, it is too late for that. Since she knew nothing about the enemy, she had no choice but to be flexible and seek the most appropriate response. With this in mind, Obera continued to observe the battlefield while dealing with Tissorn. The battlefield moved quickly without any decisive moves being made. Tissorn was followed by Bethep, and Abard was scattered. Even though so many enemy generals fell, the enemy's strength did not decrease even slightly. With the results so far, there was no room to doubt that this was a part of the enemy's strategy. It is dangerous. We should not defeat Insect General any further. Although this is an enemy that must be defeated, the priority is safety. If something unforeseen was happening, they should take their time to eliminate the cause of their anxiety. Obera tried to warn them, but it was a little too late. At that time, even Midley had already taken care of Cyril. Only 4 Insect Generals remained. Tissorn, whom Obera was facing, Mujica, whom Geld was holding off, Heliod, whom Gopta and Ranga were struggling with, and finally, Zes, who was fighting with Carrera in another dimension. Half of them had already been defeated. Obera's expression like a mask turned dark for a moment, as if something bad was about to happen. Tissorn did not miss it and laughed. Oh, I see you've noticed. A lowly Insect General is just a front-runner. With your help, it won't affect the big picture whether they're here or not. As he says, Tissorn is the top Insect General. He is the 4th most powerful. Tissorn's existence value is a little over 1.8 million, which is not that much different from Bethep. Even so, the fact that he has been the top executive of the Insect General for a long time proves his power. Midorigeri. Shock waves emitted from Tissorn's arms become cutting surfaces that slice through everything in all directions. The effect of the shock waves extends to the dimension, and although the dimensional rupture is instantly reversed by the healing power of the world, it is impossible for the materials existing on the ruptured surface to withstand the rupture. Of course, even Obera is no exception. Obera, however, recognized Tissorn as a threat, even though Obera could see it at a glance, and did not make a mistake to suffer such an attack. But she was still aware that Tissorn was a threat, and she was trying to minimize the damage. Midorigeri. Again Tissorn unleashes his technique, and a vicious shockwave comes flying in. Obera was gradually becoming impatient while avoiding it with ease. Like a fool, you keep repeating attacks that don't work, don't you? Ho, this is an interesting thing you say. It's not you but me who decides what works and what doesn't. Tissorn's reply was right on the money. No one is a fool to believe the words of the enemy. If he thought it would not work, he would have stopped it long ago. Tissorn is repeating the same attack because he thinks it works. And Obera did not like it either. That is why she tried to stop them by encouraging them to say that it is useless. Failing that, Obera reconsidered Tissorn. He is really used to fighting, taking optimal action without any hesitation, isn't she? It would be easy to win, but to neutralize Tissorn without killing him, it would be tough even for me. Obera has already seen through Tissorn's ability. The gap between her and Tissorn was wide, and she could say without a doubt that Tissorn was a lower rank. However, this was only if she had not been injured in the battle with Michael. It is true that Obera's wounds are all healed and she is in good physical condition. However, she had not fully replenished her lost energy, and she was in a far from perfect condition. Otherwise, Tissorn would have been incapacitated long ago. The failure to do so is the reason for the current result. There was no time left for hesitation. Your Highness, please look at us. Tissorn exclaims, and at the same time, his fighting ability increases dramatically. Like Insect General Cyril, he has voluntarily caused overdrive. However, there was a difference from Cyril. Tissorn has complete control over the overdrive and can effectively utilize the time limit. Midarajiri Mai of the end. It was an incomparable attack. A spectacular scene unfolded, with more than 10,000 dimensional ruptures, making it impossible for any human being to escape from this space of death and destruction. Obera's only action was not to run away from the scene, but to stand tall. Obera gave up trying to neutralize Tissorn, and decided to give it her all. Release the God's Kai. Obera lightly announces, I'm going to release Tissorn. That was the signal for Obera to give her all. The mythical grade that she had been wearing regained its starry radiance. The circulation of Obera's mana has restored its full performance. And in Obera's hand, a huge double-edged sword is held. This was the result of the transformation of the Beast's Slayer, Obera's favorite long sword, into his true form. Against Obera's archenemy, Cryptid, she must put aside the idea of taking it easy. If she's so lenient, the damage will continue to increase. She always tried her best to eliminate cryptids with optimum efficiency. Therefore, once Obera decides to fight, it has no choice but to destroy the enemy without regard to the damage to the surroundings. And now, her true value of more than 20 million existence was about to be demonstrated. Ho ho ho, it's too late to be serious now. As Tissorn said, Obera is already trapped in the deadly space. Since Tissorn's blockage prevented her from escaping through spatial transportation, there was no way to avoid being cut to pieces. It should have been so. But the result was. This attack is nothing less than a child's play. It is true that the space was torn by the direct hit of the dimensional slash. And yet, just as the space regressed back to its original form, Obera's body was also beautifully restored to its original state. Bah, idiot. My body is connected not only to the material world, but also to the spiritual world. This is nothing. Obera explains in a calm manner and raises mana as if it is her turn. The Beast Slayer shines. Seeing the dangerous light, Tissorn is confused by the emotion that arises for the first time in his life. My body trembled. Don't tell me that I am afraid. Are you saying that I am frightened? It's understandable, but it is too late. There was nothing Tissorn could do. Disappear, and be beautiful. Planets booming. A massive slash indiscriminately poured down from the heavens, dispersing a merciless yet fair death. Tissorn, too, was caught up in it and vanished into dust, unable even to show the dignity of a strong man. Geld was struggling. The enemy he faced was Insect General Mujica. Mujica is a warrior-type insect magin, insector, clad in a garishly colored shell-like warrior's armor, and wielding his sword with both hands. Mujica's strength was equal to that of Geld. Both men never gave an inch. And their subordinates are also fighting back and forth. The yellow numbers and orange numbers, who maintain an ironclad line of defense, push back a swarm of giant centipedes more than 30 meters in length led by Mujica. Because of the difference in size, teams were formed to deal with each centipede. When they are injured, they heal themselves with healing medicine, and when they get tired, they switch with those in the rear to maintain the front line while avoiding overworking themselves. This was the result of their regular training. Therefore, the battle remained in a stalemate even after several hours had passed, but the most notable moment was the one-on-one battle between Geld and Mujica. Mujica wielded a dagger with the skill of a first-rate martial artist, and judging from the high level of his skill, it was hard to believe that he had developed this technique on his own. It seems that there were reincarnated people in the other world, but that is not important. What was certain was that Mujica was a strong opponent. Geld catches the sword with his big shield. The shield is also a gem that has become a part of Geld and reached a mythical grade. It is like Geld's flesh and blood, and has been transformed to have properties similar to the exoskeleton of the insectoid magin, Insector. Therefore, even a slight damage is instantly repaired. The atmosphere shakes and plasma scatters, but Geld keeps a cool face. In return, he reaves Mujica with a meat crusher. Mujica, however, is also a great fighter, and he anticipates the attack and parries it with his sword. Not only that, his countless legs pop out from the gaps in his armor, and he unleashes a barrage of blows as if piercing Geld. Geld, who seemed to be on the verge of a crisis, responded with Demon Lord Haki. Geld's Haki, which was given the corrosion effect by the ultimate gift Gourmet King Beelzebub, bites Mujica's leg with erratic movements, as if it had a will of its own. Mujica's leg was not defeated either, and it was covered with the evil Yauki, and cancelled out Geld's Chaos Eaters. These battles were repeated, and the situation was still unsettled. However, the battle suddenly came to an end. Even Tissorn is dead. No way. I didn't think our forces here were this strong, but now we are ready. What? It's none of your business. It's been a long time since I've met a warrior who could compete with me. I'd have liked to compete with you more, but I think it's time to move on. Mujica says unilaterally and distances himself from Geld. Then, he showed his retreat with the surviving bugs. Geld does not let his guard down even though he sees this. But then, Geld also notices. The atmosphere of the battlefield is strange. Is this intense fear a sign that something is about to happen? It was so overwhelmingly dangerous that he wondered why he had not noticed it before. Geld stares at the sky. Dark clouds were swirling, and it seemed as if something was about to appear. All hands, maintain full alert. Geld's order causes even those who are being treated to start moving. Geld's ever-present and ever more determined appearance made everyone understand that the battle was not over. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it.